The flag, please.
I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Al,
Present.
Teresa,
Present.
Michelle,
Here.
Kate,
Here.
Gladys,
Here.
Dr. Cronin,
Here.
Lauren,
Here.
Juanita,
Here.
Richard, Julie,
Here.
and here.
Thank you. We're gonna move down to recognition. You can't skip out on us like that.
Yep.
Hello, everyone. Is the microphone ready to go? All right, perfect. Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Flynn. I'm the interim principal at Westside Middle School this year. I'm here to present on Spotlight Your School. But before I begin, I'd like to take a moment for remembrance of two individuals important to our Westside family. We had a sad start to our school year with the unexpected passing of Paul Fanoff, the loving husband of Jeannie Fanoff, one of our administrative secretaries, which you may know and is here with me today. And this was followed by the passing of one of our teachers, Mrs. Nauheimer, at 43 years old, which taught 6th grade social studies. Mrs. Nauheimer was at Westside Middle School before I arrived, and she was very instrumental in helping me acclimate to the new school I had arrived at. She was highly involved in all aspects of our school, including being a part of many committees such as the Sunshine Committee, the PBIS Committee, the theater group, as well as volunteering in most of all our after-school activities. She was an extremely giving person who was enormously well-liked by students and staff alike, and she will be greatly missed. I appreciate our Westside community for coming together during such a tough time, as well as our greater Danbury family. I want to say thank you to the members of Central Office who offered support during this time, and to Park Avenue and AI Schools for your cards and posters that you sent to our school. And I want to give a special thanks to Rogers Park Middle School for the decoration of our teacher's lounge and for providing breakfast, and all that you did to help us during such a tough start to our school year. Now I'll begin with some of the spotlight and data information that we'll be sharing. The first slide is showing our total accountability score for the past 4 years. The Accountability Index, as many of you may know, is calculated across several indicators such as achievement, growth, chronic absenteeism, the percentage of test takers, and the physical exam given during PE classes. As you can see, we have made growth the past several years, but took a small dip this past year, which I believe can be attributed to a couple of factors, which I'll discuss in a moment. The next slide may be hard to read, but I'll surmise pretty much what it says. This slide focuses on the proficiency levels at Westside Middle School. The proficiency levels would represent the students who score a 3 or a 4 in the ESPA exam in both ELA and Math. So in short, those are the students who are on grade level or higher. Last year, we had a total percentage of 51% of all students in all 3 grades at proficiency in ELA. Although the good is that we're still above 50% in proficiency as a school, we did have a slight dip and went down from the year before where we were at 57. I think some of this could be attributed to just a change in staff. We had 3 staff members in ELA change. We lost 2 to different districts in 8th grade and 2 7th grade teachers in the middle of the year, 1 to a different school district and 1 because of the passing of her husband who was a teacher at Rogers Park Middle School. We'll keep an eye on those numbers a little bit more, but I expect them to bounce right back up with a little bit of more consistency. It's hard to see there, but I'll surmise it as well, because in that one red box area, you can see those show the percentage per the different grade levels. And you can see that for ELA, they were all above 50%, but for math, pretty much for the 3 years I've been there, we've lived around the 30 percentile range, the high 30s, with the exception of 8th grade last year being at 41%. But as an average of all 3 classes, math was an area where we did increase in proficiency from 36% the prior year. We went up 1 percentage point to 37% this past year. Now, this slide shows the growth achievement per student. So growth is a little different than proficiency, where students are either at grade level or not, depending whether they can achieve a 3 or 4. The growth levels is going to show some of their growth from one year to the next. That's why you only see 7th and 8th grade years there, because you would need at least 2 years for comparison to see how they bounce up from one year to the next. And something that you see here is even though we're very strong in proficiency in ELA, you can see the past 5 years is more of a little up and down, bouncing up and down of inconsistency through those years. Math is kind of the opposite, where we're not where we want to be in proficiency, but there has been some growth in those years where we started in the low 40s, mid 40s, 2 years back to back of 70% growth rate and achievement, target achievement achieved, and then a little bit of a dip last year in that. Because of this, we do want to show that consistency and growth in ELA, but they're still performing at a proficiency level above 50%. In math, we want to take some of that growth that you see there and have it carry over to proficiency. So that's one area that I wanted to target in our strategic planning for the year. This was also used with iReady, this is the fall diagnostic that was given to students right at the beginning of the year. They'll take 3. September, of course, the next one moved up right after Thanksgiving break in December, and then following in March. This is the fall diagnostic in math. Here you can see we have some really good numbers and promise from our 6th grade group right there coming in. So they came up in pretty strong from elementary school. But what I've seen more the past 3 years is what you see in 7th and 8th grade, us living in the mid-30s percentage for proficiency. And that's really something that I want to see change, maybe follow what ELA has done and try to start pushing them past the 50% mark. Because of that, using the indicators of the ESPA, the iReady, and classroom tests as well, one of the things we're doing very different this year that we've never done at Westside Middle School, I know Rogers Park had started a year earlier than us, is with flexible grouping and performance of pretty much essentially leveling in math. We have 3 different groups. We use the iReady as the #1 indicator to create these groups, but we also did use the ESPA from the past 3 years, and then the report card grades as well for those kids that sometimes fall between numbers and you can either move them up or move them down. You have more than one indicator to determine that. But group 1 are the kids that are 1 year or less or above grade level in math. And the second group was created with kids that were 2 to 3 years below grade level. And the third group are students who are greater than 3 years below grade level. And hopefully creating some of this leveling in math. The kids, even though they will still get instruction at their grade level, it provides some flexibility for direct instruction in areas that they might need because they have holes in their foundational learning. They can be flexibly grouped a lot easier that way. I think it also allows those kids bigger opportunities to become motivated and to participate more, where certain kids that are already strong at math aren't driving a lot of the discourse. It kind of throws them up in the forefront and enables them to participate a lot more in those flexible groupings. But hopefully this will have an impact, and we'll see, looking at the data the next couple of years, how this plays out, and hopefully has a positive impact on the math scores, which is what I would like to do and see, is that they play out the same way they have in ELA, and we get above that 50% range in proficiency. And of course, we want to see those growth numbers continue to grow. Some of the things we're doing and talking with the teachers, whether it's through PLC or the CPTs, the common planning times that teachers have, is pushing a little bit more of explicit instruction, where you see modeling and more timely feedback given to the students based on their own work. We want to increase vertical groupings, and if you're not aware what vertical groupings are in math, the kids work standing up on dry erase boards or some of those giant posters up on the wall, and the kids are all around that working on problem solving that way, not just sitting around a table where maybe one kid will do all the writing. Here you see that marker being switched from student to student in a discourse while they're standing up. It just increases, and it's just a better vehicle for them to practice some of that problem solving in math. So I like to see a little bit more of that in the classroom. Of course, across the district, I'm sure as you heard before with Mrs. Wanzer and Mr. Roach, data-driven instruction is definitely the theme that we keep pushing more, trying to make it more of a cultural thing within staff, making sure they're using that data within classrooms, within students, to target areas of need more effectively. And it's something that we've been pushing for a long time, and each year it increases more, and you see a bigger acceptance across the different grade levels for different teams. And the drive and the push for that to occur is still going very, very strong. And last but not least is an increased exposure to testing, not just testing, but the testing formats and platforms as teaching tools. There's a lot of resources out there, like the AIBs, maybe you've heard of them, maybe you haven't, but even the ESPA provides quizzes that you can use. So to give you an example, it could be an AIB in just ratios, and it's 15 questions. It could be an AIB just on equivalent fractions, 15 questions. Usually they're broken down, the first 5 is the most simplistic, the next 5 are like the intermediate type of questions, and the last 5 are problem-solving based questions. And using those tools that are already provided to be used in the classroom as teaching tools. One example I can give you is not only do IEDs expose and give teacher knowledge about the rigor of some of these tests, they're not easy tests, but it gives them exposure to the vocabulary, it gives them exposure to the formatting, and that's a bigger thing than sometimes we think of. And I'll give you an example. I used to teach 4th grade, kids would take equivalent fractions. They would test in any quiz I would give them, they would do excellent in the equivalent fractions testing quizzes, whatever I gave them. But when they saw it on the ESPA, it was a grid. It was on the x-axis, there were 4 equivalent fractions. On the y-axis, there were 4 equivalent fractions, or fractions. And then they had a punch or color in the dot of where the equivalent fractions met. A lot of kids could interpret that that's what they were supposed to do, but a lot of kids never saw that setup in questioning before, and they were thrown, even though I knew they knew their equivalent fractions. So I think going through the IABs definitely takes away from some of that formatting that they wouldn't be used to seeing, and it gives them really good exposure for what they will be facing all coming May. All right, so to summarize some of the actions that we're taking at our school is definitely the first year we've leveled the math classes. We want to use a new teacher evaluation system to identify and use more explicit instruction in the feedback we give to teachers, myself and Mike Clark here, who will be evaluating at a lot of the teachers. He's the assistant principal this year at Westside Middle School. We want to increase the use of resources such as IABs to increase exposure to the platform, vocabulary, and extent of rigor in problem solving. And we want to continue to use the data to more effectively identify areas of need for individual classes and grade levels. Right here, this shows the chronic absenteeism at our school the past 3 years. Up here, it looks kind of like purplish, but it's really supposed to be gray. That represents the state average. The orange or yellow represents the district. Westside Middle School is represented by the blue bars. You can see we're well below the state average and district average. But 3 years ago we were at 8.2%. Last year we were at 10.3%. There was an increase, but then we dipped back down to 10.0. This is something that at our school we're also trying to address through our social worker takes the lead, Mrs. Edward. She does a lot of phone calls, home visits. I've done home visits with her, trying to help her out. Hopefully we get this number down in the next couple of years. Some of the celebrations that are happening or activities at Westside Middle School. Because of PBIS addressing behaviors at our school, we've created new celebrations or block celebrations at our school going on at the end of every quarter. Kids that earn 5 Westside Awards will be part of these block celebrations. We call them block celebrations because they happen during the WIN block. 8th grade has already done theirs. 6th grade has done theirs, and tomorrow 7th grade eventually does their first block party. If you get 5 Westside Awards because of good behavior, you're able to participate in those. For the kids that didn't make them, they were able to join me for a nice economic lesson on why, and a big speech on why school was important. We did a writing activity on where they visualize themselves when they're 25, 30 years old, doing what job, living where, what kind of car they're driving. I want them to really draw that picture for themselves. Another thing we're doing is the futsal tournaments. The middle schools don't have any organized teams. But last year we had our first annual futsal tournament between Rogers Park, Broadview, and ourselves. It was a huge success. So this year we created 12 teams at our school, and we had an in-house tournament to determine who the champions are, and they will represent us at the Danbury Middle School futsal tournament, which will occur sometime in April or May, or March, I believe. The theater play that we're performing this year is Beauty and the Beast, and right now if you come to our school after schools you might hear some singing or people auditioning for different parts, but that's kind of taking off the ground right now. And we're still also having conversations about maybe following up what we did with futsal with some basketball programs. Also Mrs. Edwards played in college and professionally in Germany. We're trying to explore if we can create also some sort of competition between the middle schools. Some key initiatives that are happening this year at Westside Middle School. We have a parent engagement night directed by Dr. Dittmar and Mr. Darrow, our two counselors. They had our first one just recently on cell phone and mental health. The next one will be based on the theme of anxiety and the anxiety kids are facing today, and then ending with one of the nights discussing for the Freshman Academy. Hopefully aligning to the new academies completely coming into line this fall at the high school. We have a new cell phone policy at Westside Middle School, which I think has been successful this year. In the past, you might see kids walking through the halls holding cell phones or in their back pockets. I don't think I have to tell a lot of people what a huge issue cell phones are and distraction. In the past, if they had them out during class, they would be taken away, sent to the office, and at the end of the day, the kids would pick them up. That just was not working. Cell phones, they really aren't cell phones. They're video recorders, so they take videos of each other, pictures of each other's. They're game consoles, so they're playing games in there. They have the entire web there to look up at assignments, whether they're working. It is a lot more than a cell phone. And of course, social media platform, which they can talk with each other while they're in class. Since it wasn't working this year, I gave until October 1st. We sent out 2 letters. We talked about it during the open houses. I spoke about it during orientation, but this new cell phone policy was that starting October 1st, if they had it out, whether it was in use or not, if it was in their person, the only place they could be was their backpack. It would be taken away and it would not be returned to them at the end of the day. A parent would need to come and pick it up at the end of the day. And the effect that I think, I know Mrs. Harris is coming on October 4th to visit. One of the things I think you will see is that you will not see cell phones out being carried or in the hallways or anywhere in the school for the most part. We used to take probably 15 cell phones a day away, and now we probably take maybe 5 away a week. So it's really cut down a lot. The other thing we're doing is revamping the PBIS system. You heard about the block parties at the end of each quarter, reorganizing our Tier 2 committee and reward system. We have a 2-hour delay system that we use to start the school year. So instead of starting normally, we started at a 2-hour delay, but we dedicated the first 2 hours where kids would come in and teachers would go over the schedules with the students, hand out computers, hand out passwords, and the sixth graders got an additional tour of the school in addition to the one they received during orientation. And I think that little soft landing of a 2-hour class just to get them to have a soft start really helped out this year. And we do the same thing with the ESPA testing. We use a 2-hour delay system for the ESPA testing instead of testing them at different times throughout the day. We dedicate 3 days for ELA 1 week on a 2-hour delay system. So they come in, they have a half-hour warm-up, they test for an hour and 15 minutes, and then 15 minutes to decompress, and then they do the same thing the following week with math, and then the rest of the day they proceed on their 2-hour delay schedule. And I think dedicating that entire school beginning to the ESPA testing has helped a lot with the kids getting the test done. And last but not least, in collaboration with Start With Love and grade level town meetings on inclusivity and explaining visible and invisible disabilities, basically the awareness versus acceptance of disabilities. We had these town meetings which was led by Heather Sawchen, our school psychologist, and Mrs. Edwards, our social worker. They've been doing these town hall meetings with each grade level at different times throughout the day in the cafeteria. So our vision for success is going to be measured through our performance in iReady and ESPA. We want to create a culture of rigor and critical thinking-based learning where students take educational risks based on timely feedback that leads to an increase in the average percentage of targets achieved. And that's directly going to be tied to what we see in our performance in some of these indicators. There's no way around it. I know there's people who are for the test and against the test, but as I've explained before, I don't care which profession you go into, there is some test to be certified in it. If you want to go into the military, you're going to take the ASVAB. Of course, if you want to be a medical doctor, it's going to be the MCAPS. Even for plumbers, electricians, you're going to have to take the city and state codes test. So there is no escaping testing in the real world. You're going to have to do it to either get a degree or some sort of certification. And we're going to look at that kind of the same way. It's going to be an education on something they will have to face in the future. And last but not least, since we started the school year, we wanted to start with a good theme and change the culture of our school with positivity. And with the help of Mr. Altop, one of our ELA teachers in 7th grade, he put together a nice video where he recorded Monday through Thursday, the first 4 days of school, and then there was a big unveil on Friday. And this on Friday, all the kids in the opening class were treated to this nice video by Mr. Altop, welcoming them back to school. And it's something we want to carry out. Yeah, go on.
I got a feeling I'm going to get better at my writing speech.
I got a feeling that I'm going to try my best to get a grades.
I got a feeling that I'm going to make a feeling. I got a feeling that I'm going to make a musical.
I got a feeling that the year's gonna be a good year. That the year's gonna be a good year. That the year's gonna be a good year. I'm feeling that the year's gonna be a good year. That the year's gonna be a good year. That the year's gonna be a good year. I'm feeling that the year's gonna be a good year. That the year's gonna be a good year. That the year's gonna be a good year. I'm feeling that the year's gonna be a good year. That the year's gonna be a good year. That the year's gonna be a good year. 2 days a day, when you show up, I got my schedule. Let's check it out. Go to your classes, like you're a boss. First day of school, let's kick it off.
I know that we'll have a ball. We get down and go out and just try it all. I feel stressed out, I wanna let it go. Let's go all in for learning and getting in control.
Fill up my cup, nozzle top. Yeah, it's working over the top. Let's do our best on every test. Show you the proof. Let's do it, let's do it, let's do it, let's do it, and 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 do it, do it, do it, let's do it, let's do it, let's do it, 'cause I got a feeling that the year's gonna be a good year, and the year's gonna be a good year, and the year's gonna be a good year. I'm feeling that the year's gonna be a good year, and the year's gonna be a good year, and the year's gonna be a good year. 2 days a day, let's live it up. I got my notebook, let's fill it up. Go out and learn it, like you're a boss. First day of school, let's kick it off. Fill up my cup, muzzle talk. Look at us working over the top. Let's do our best and do it, do it, do it. Let's do it, let's do it, let's do it, do it, do it, do it. Here we go, here we go. We gotta rock. Easy go, easy go. Now we are talking. Make it rock, party rock. Look at the sound. Round and round, open up, all on the floor. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Saturday, Sunday. Get with us, you know what we say. Learn it every day, learn it every day. I'm feeling, that the year's gonna be a good year. And the year's gonna be a good year. That the year's gonna be a good year. I'm feeling, that the year's gonna be a good year. And the year's gonna be a good year. And the year's gonna be a good year.
One of the things you can see up there is our new signage on West Side Middle School on the top, which we never had before. Now you can identify us very easily.
Mike, that video made my day. I think it's the best video ever to send us off into the holiday break. And I wanted to say thank you, and Mike and Jeannie and the whole West Side crew. You took over at a tough time at the beginning of the year and in transition, and you've done just a remarkable job. And Mike, we called you out of retirement to step up to
Trust me, I don't forget.
building initiatives. And it took you a little while to call me back the first time, but then once you did, I hooked you were hooked. So you've been
I just want to find out how you found me, no?
you've been a blessing. So thank you so much. And Jeannie, you're like a bedrock in the main office. So it's clear the kind of culture that you're trying to build and rebuild. And just thank you very much. This was a great presentation.
Well, I appreciate it, and I've said it many times. It is a lot. It's a big job, but I also know I have a lot of support, and I feel like Danbury is a good place to have that. There's a lot of people I can turn to for help, which I have, and I'm very grateful of that.
Thank you. I think we're going to submit that video to Kane next year. That was a really good one.
That's good.
Yes,
Definitely. It was really good.
Public participation?
The board welcomes public participation and asks that each speaker please limit their comments to 3 minutes. Speakers may offer objective comments of school operations and programs that concern them. The board will not permit any expression of personal complaints nor defamatory comments about Board of Education personnel and students nor against any person connected with the Danbury Public School System.
Did anyone want to come before the board and speak to tonight? No one signed the paper?
Are you here from Chestnut?
Yes.
Okay, we'll call you up in a sec. Thank you so much for being here.
So no public participation, consent calendar. Juanita.
Motion that the Board of Education approve consent calendar as recommended and in accordance with Exhibits 24-193 through 24-198.
Motion been made by Juanita, could I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Lauren. Any questions? Any concerns? Not? All in favor of the motion, could I hear aye? Aye. Opposed? Motion so carried. Next, we're gonna have the donation. Okay, here.
First one, I'll be the second.
This one. Just do the whole thing.
Oh, you want me to do it?
Yeah, the street. We have the donation, okay? Accept the donation of $5,000 from Emerson Charitable Trust on behalf of the Branson Ultrasonic Coalition to support the Robotics Club in accordance with Exhibit 24-197. A motion made, do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, motion second by Vaughn. Any questions? All in favor, could I hear aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion so carried. Okay. Okay, so the next one. Accept the donation in the amount of $2,325 from Chestnut Market Shell / Shell Giving Pump Program to Danbury Public School in accordance with 24-198. I made a motion. Could I second it?
Second.
Julie second. All in favor? Could I hear aye?
Aye.
Motion so carried.
Okay. I'd like to introduce Ahmed Rancy from Chestnut Market. And Ahmed runs the Giving Pump program. And the Giving Pump program donates 3 cents for every gallon sold during the month of September and October. And there's a specific giving pump. And so when folks pull in, that money goes directly to a beneficiary. And again, for the second time, we were so lucky to be the beneficiary. We appreciate you so much. The location that raised the money for this particular check was located at 80 South Street in Danbury and 445 North Main Street in Danbury. So we thank you very much again for thinking of us in the Danbury Public Schools. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, hold on one more.
One more? Okay. One more? Yeah. We can take. Sure. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
I have to ask, because I don't want to admit anyone who have anyone from my educational staff. So we're going to go down our student representative.
I'm Delali Gota. I'm the BOG president at our school.
I'm Leticia Call. I am the BOG treasurer.
So a couple updates from our school. We had our club fair earlier this month, which basically allows students to see what the school offers, all the different clubs, which is really important for like freshmen because they don't know what's going on in the school, so they get a chance to sign up and learn more from anything they're interested in. We also have parent-teacher conferences today and tomorrow. And quarter one has officially ended. All our sports have also ended except for football, but they have their last game on Wednesday. And our NHS induction ceremony is going to be in December for all the fall inductees who either raised their grade up and weren't invited last year, or weren't accepted last year and reapplied and got in this year.
On December 12th, we have the career fair for the freshmen, for those who are also incoming, and the ones that are now freshmen for the school that is opening up next year. And then we have the PSAT makeup for those students who aren't able to go to the PSATs. We where on that day, the grades 10 and 11 had PSATs, and seniors were able to go take their senior picture outside on the bleachers and do their handprints on the wall, and then had to spend time with their friends. And then ROTC had a blood drive at the school auditorium, which was very successful. A lot of people attended to that, students donated blood. And then the class of 1974 had their 50th reunion, and along with all 4 DOG officers and peer leadership students, we all went in the morning, we gave them a tour, and they were really nice to me, very talkative, and like very sweet people. And then for the senior class, they're doing an event which is like once every Friday. Seniors show off their senior spirit, and you have a chance to win a gift card, and you get Lesser Eagle popcorn.
Did you want me to repeat what I said in the beginning, or could you hear me?
We heard, I think we heard you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great holiday.
You too.
We're going to move down to the board standing committees, community relations.
I actually do not have an update at this time.
I'm sorry.
I don't have an update at this time. It's changed since our last meeting.
Curriculum, we just had a meeting. Lauren, we'll talk about the wonderful presentation.
So we just had a really great presentation right before this meeting, and we talked about the numbers that came in and what it meant to us. And going forward, we're going to talk about what we're going to do, how we're going to work with those numbers. But it was an amazing presentation, so thank you again for that.
Thank you. Finance Committee.
Mr. Gianelli asked me to let folks know that our meeting on 11/21, they should take a look at those minutes to get caught up on what's happening in the Finance Committee. And then there are 2 motions that our Finance Director, Mike Weaver, can elaborate on. And the next Finance meeting is on January 15th.
Mike, did you want to have anything to add to the committee report, finance?
No, just the motions.
He said just the motions.
Just the motions.
We'll come down to policy. Kate?
Policy, again, we have no updates since our last meeting.
Sites and facilities. Lisa?
Our next meeting is scheduled for January 8th, so we haven't had a meeting since our last meeting.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to our action item. Action item A. Kate?
I'll make a motion that the Board of Education approve the October 2024 financial report, which includes the 24-25 Alliance budget allocations as recommended by the Finance Committee and in accordance with Exhibit 24-199.
Motion made by Kate. Could I hear a second?
Second.
Teresa? Any question? I'm sorry?
Yeah, no problem.
Any question concerning financial report? Seeing none? Mike, ma'am? No?
Yep.
All in favor of the motion? Could I hear aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion so carried. Michelle, action item B.
Withdrawal of the reserve drawdown request. Motion that the Board of Education approve the withdrawal of the 7/19/23 request to the City Council to seek a reserve drawdown in the amount of $3,044,808 in conjunction with the 2023-24 operating budget as recommended by the Finance Committee and in accordance with 24-200.
Motion made by Michelle,
Second.
seconded by Kate. Any questions? Any discussion? Mike? No? Okay. All those in favor? Could I hear aye?
Aye.
Motion opposed? Anyone opposed? Okay, motion so carried. Policy, Teresa.
C, policy 3171.1- non-lapsing education fund. Motion that the Board of Education accept for second reading and adoption policy 3271.1- non-lapsing education fund as recommended by the policy committee and in accordance with 24-200. 201.
Motion made by Teresa, could I hear a second?
Second.
I hear 3 seconds. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
My name.
Motion made by Teresa, seconded by Al. Any question concerning the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, could I hear aye? Aye. Motion so carried. Okay. Didn't have any opposed. Superintendent's report.
Okay. So I wanted to just give a brief update on a group that's been doing some amazing work out with their club, and that is our DHS Robotics Club. Every couple of Saturdays, Eric Savoyski takes his team out and heads to different parts of the state, and they absolutely mop up the competitions and do a phenomenal job. Our students have been winning awards left and right. Placing in various spots in the competition. They have recently won design awards, and then one of the most coveted awards at these competitions is the Award of Excellence for some of our teams. And they continue to progress. Last year they went to the World Bex Robotics competition in Dallas. And so we found ways to fund them through some grants to make sure that they have the transportation that they need to go out, to make sure that they have the materials that they need to build the robots and repair the robots, and they've just been an amazingly collaborative group. When I've gone on to visits in Danbury High School, I'll pass by Eric's room. I always stop in to say hello and see how the kids are doing. And whether or not he has a class or not, there's always about a group of at least 5 or 6, sometimes 10 or more kids on their lunch break, on their period off, the teacher's in there on their prep period, and they're just building and testing and getting ready. So these kids are committed. Before school, they go down there. After school, they go down there. And so it's just a program that's really growing. And we attribute that to sort of the developing interest in STEM, but also kind of funding and aligning our resources to make sure that the kids have everything they need, as well as the teacher, to ensure that that club is successful. So I just wanted to point that out because he makes such a great effort to email every time they go to a competition with details. And it's a really successful venture, and so I just wanted to share that at the board level. We had our presentation tonight on the Next Gen Accountability System results. Thank you very much. Mr. Roche is still here. If you've noticed over the past couple of sessions, we're really trying to focus in on that data piece and making sure that everybody is present and in tune to the improvement efforts that we're trying to instill here. And so that we had that presentation today. The next curriculum meeting will have the "and what are we doing about it" meeting. So the first one was the education on the accountability, understanding it. This presentation today was how that applies to our numbers that just came in, and then we'll do a deep dive into sort of the systemic improvement efforts, which is really important to kind of get the system as a whole to improve. Even as we're in the face of staffing shortages, like how are we still trying to keep a laser-like focus on that prize of student achievement, closing our gaps. So again, thank you very much, Mr. Roche. I'll come back to the code of conduct in a second. We need substitutes. We need substitutes. This is an all call. If for folks at home, if you are looking for a few extra dollars, you want to get out of the house a couple days a week. If you have a neighbor, maybe your child's in graduate school and they're home for break, whatever the case is, we need substitutes. We are in desperate shape to fill our ranks as we head into the winter months with cold and flu season especially. Mondays and Fridays tend to be difficult, so we could really use some extra staff to bolster our ranks. All of our teachers are covered for one another internally, and it's creating a great stress in the work that they have to do. So if you have a friend or a neighbor, please spread the word. You can go onto our website and look for the Kelly Services logo and QR code and you can sign up. We hope that we can get some more subs over the next month especially. Okay. Code of conduct. We've had a slight uptick in some of our student behaviors that we're seeing. Occasionally from time to time, we find ourselves having to discipline some students who make some mistakes. Sometimes they're silly mistakes, sometimes they're very serious mistakes. And it's always a sad event when you have to have a relatively decent kid get into trouble and miss school or get expelled or miss out on part of their education because they've made some mistakes that fall out of line with our student code of conduct. And so we're asking parents to review the code of conduct. We have a code of conduct for the different levels in the school system, depending on the student's age, but to make sure that we're having conversations with your child at home, to review the expectations, and to also attend some of the school events at night and conferences that are going on now, and to be kind of cueing into some of the things that the schools are seeing that they're trying to squash at the school level in terms of behavior. So we're partners in that work, and we hope that when we come back from the break, we see some improved behaviors amongst the schools, and that some of the silliness from the beginning of the year starts to fall down so we can get back to business. But please review those codes of conduct, because they sometimes come to haunt us when students make mistakes. Okay, DHS Career Fair, I sent an email out over the weekend. Hopefully some folks have seen it. We're looking for professionals, entrepreneurs, business owners to help launch some of our career fair initiatives. We have about 30 or so folks booked for December 12th. We're looking for more folks involved in STEM. We have a lot of human service fields, so we're good there, but we need more hard technical science, architecture, business, finance, computer engineering. So if you know of anybody in those fields who might be willing to come and stay at a booth for a couple hours and engage with our students, please put them in contact with either myself or Mike Seelig, and we'll get them hooked up at our career fair. And the last is ACES Thanksgiving, and I'm sure our board members have already got the invitation, but as part of our Danbury tradition always, ACE invites the community for their annual ACE Thanksgiving Feast. It's Tuesday, November 26th from 10:30 to 12:30, and it's on 26 Locust Avenue, and it has become a huge part of my tradition here, and so I hope to see you all there on that day. And in my parting words, I will, just in reflection of the Thanksgiving season, I want to thank the board members for their contributions this year. As we head into another budget season, there's always, you know, kind of a spirit in the air as we have to collaborate and work through some difficult things. And I appreciate the partnership that we've developed. I'm also very thankful for our teachers and our administrators and our paraprofessionals and our support staff in the schools right now who are covering for their colleagues, who are going the extra mile to make sure that education continues with the least amount of disruption. It's been a tough run because of the staffing that we mentioned earlier, the improvement efforts that we've seen. While we would love to see more, there are improvements happening in the district, and that happens on the backs of people working really hard in the schools. And so just to say that we are all thankful for that. We're thankful for the team here at Central Office who are helping to support the buildings right now as well. So those are my final words. Thanksgiving, everybody.
Board chairperson report, not so much a report, just to say I think this board has did an awesome job together this year, working together. We hired an interim superintendent, then we went through the process and we hired a superintendent. We went through the process and we worked both sides together. And I hope as we move forward that we continue the relationships and the attitude and working together, because we can't get anything done for this district if we are working against one another. So I hope we continue to move forward in a positive way. I don't want to think too far down because we have our annual dinner next week. I hope that the 4 people, myself including, Teresa, Kate, and Juanita, that attended the convention, that you will bring back a full report in January. Okay? So you write your notes down. Write your notes down and keep them until January. Okay? And you know, you guys got those papers in your book. You got the bag, so you got all the stuff. Don't have to give a full report. Just some of the workshops that we attended and what came out of those workshops, because those workshops was important. And the presentations were beautiful, and we even entered a new part of the convention that we had never entered were, you know, Teresa had her little fan voting and Kathy had her little fan voting. And it was something for us to not just pay our money to be a part of CAVE, we had actual voices there speaking on our behalf. So with that, you know, I'm just looking forward to continue to work with us. I want to thank that everyone have a safe and happy Thanksgiving. And when you're out talking and you ask them questions and people are asking questions about the Danbury school system, I hope that is positive, because you might say something positive and someone else turns around and make it negative. And we want our school system to be the best that there is in this state. So with that, anyone that did not see me for the Christmas little tilly tally, see me before you go. See me before you go, okay?
I just want to ask, next week, is that just dinner or what is it, a meeting?
We have to, it's annual election.
Oh, election.
It's election of our officer.
And it starts at 6?
That starts at 6.
Okay.
We're gonna take pictures at 6, the entire group. And then we're gonna go into a meeting, and then we're gonna celebrate Christmas with our dinner.
All right.
I'm trying to be here on time. We know it was a traffic hang-up today, but, you know, we're gonna try to start on time, okay? And I need a motion to
I'll make a
adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
Okay, all in favor? Motion made by Al, seconded by Kay. All in favor?